There's a theme there. There's adventure. There's definitely good and definitely bad. There's no subtlety about that.
No.
No subtlety about?
Who's good and who's bad in these stories.
Okay.
It's very
Hey.
basic. Choice seeker. I like that.
Yeah.
Joyful spirit.
Ooh. I like that better. I like that.
Joyful spirit warrior.
Yeah.
Warrior for joy.
Joy warrior. Hey, come on, speaker.
How come we're putting a song?
I want to play something about your dancing, and it's going to be pertinent to what you're doing. So.
Can we get a chance to dance?
Oh, you're welcome to dance.
Oh,
to
we
this
can
if you like.
dance.
We're going to dance anytime.
Love dancing.
Just want to test the audio.
What kind of dancing do you like?
Just anything
What do you
that
do?
makes me move.
What kind of dancing do you know how to do? Do you know, like salsa? Like
No, just
No,
freestyle.
Freestyle.
I just move.
Right.
I'm like, universe,
Oh.
fill me up.
Goddess of movement.
Yeah, I love it.
What's your, what do we call this thing? Your self?
We'll thus use that pressure and desire.
I have all.
What's yours?
Cosmic Geisha Warrior Priestess.
Oh, that's good. I like that.
Because I like the arts and the romancing of life and the mundane, seeing the extraordinary within the ordinary,
Right.
and just that kind of grand romance
Right.
with myself, with everybody, with the world. So that those kind of arts.
When you talk, you're actually dancing.
Oh yeah.
So,
It's really
Oh, yeah.
incredible.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Spirit warrior, most decidedly. That's kind of such a core one that wraps to everything. In addition to that, agent of the universe I'll use, or awareness facilitator, which is I wanted to share with you. You're
Yeah.
also an awareness facilitator, so add it to your list. Even if you don't use it, it's just part of it. It's nice to have a range, because this is something that's going to permeate and settle, and over time we're going to say, oh yes, that's my main one, but I have these for certain circumstances that I utilize. We do want an overall conception that ties to the overallness as a life conception, but particular circumstance ones, we do definitely. So yeah, as an awareness facilitator, absolutely. You know, in this
That's
circumstance,
a good one, yeah.
yeah, you too. You're an awareness facilitator also.
Yeah.
Write it down.
But for you,
Oh.
there's a name in the middle there, quotes. Awareness, Yoda, facilitator.
Merlin.
There you go. Yeah, I get that one. I want to just play the story in a second. Yeah, it's pretty cool. So it's about what we're talking about. So okay, so
This is
Mood
from a
management
future
is a
module.
huge topic
Yes.
with many layers.
yes, but they can come at any time.
Absolutely. Everything we are about as spirit warriors engaged in our way of impeccability. To illustrate this overview perspective, multi-layeredness and connectedness to more, a story.
Just being is enough. A story fragment to elucidate. Vienna was asked, you talk of the new nobility being focused on just being. Then what do they do to just be?
I like
Mood
this
management, Vienna
It's a
simply said.
composite.
She looked over to her dear and glorious friend and said, there comes a time in the life of a new noble when they shift from living a personal life.
I don't have this. Oh, I can put it on autoplay, I guess. Hang on one second. Let me
I
come
would
back
like
into
to
it, and I'll
get to
just put
that
it on
point in
autoplay.
terms of
You shift
training
to
my
living a
voice
personal
to-
life?
Oh, what did she say?
Because there's no.
Shift from living a personal life.
She stays
No,
in
no,
a,
shift. Yeah,
this
from.
kind of
Toward.
band
No, it is from.
Right.
You
that
see.
I really.
It's not modulated all over.
Yes, I really.
That's a very good point, Miles,
What was
that you
that?
bring up. She says, mood management. So Biela was asked, you talk of the new nobility being focused on just being, but what do they do to just be? Mood management, Biela simply said. She looked over to her dear and glorious friend and said, there comes a time in the life of a new noble when they shift from living a personal life. Miles said, shouldn't that be to living a personal life? No, it is from. It is very specific from. see in a second.
Say that again.
Right. So there comes a time in the life of a new noble when they shift from living a personal life. So yeah,
Oh,
it's a
yeah.
conundrum right now.
Yes.
It doesn't make sense. It's going to in a second. So this is partly why I want to bring this little story up right now. I just want to put it on autoplay.
It's like you walk between two worlds. There's yourself, and then there's the more. And you in both of them. So you are this more.
Remember when I put it on
Especially as
autoplay? It
an
was a place
awareness
somewhere.
facilitator. Just your beingness has this impact of shifting and moving people.
It's
Yeah.
It's happening.
It's evident.
So,
Yeah.
obvious.
And also it's kind of like a leverage too, in a sense. Like
Yeah.
I find it amazing how the universe uses us.
It's
You know
leveraging
what I mean?
words
Yeah.
to raise people's spirits.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I
Because
guess
he's
not.
so
Right.
uniquely configured that
Ah.
all the pieces come
That-
together, your experience is everything.
That's really an awesome point to bring out. That is that because it yes, it's true. I mean, it's your perception is very, but it's kind. There's a deliberateness to this cognition. You'll see in a second. So.
Yeah, I remember you saying something that sounded like, what the fuck? Because
Wow.
it was like living from yourself,
Wow.
like your self-awareness, but then like
Well,
not.
just let it run. We'll see. It'll come. It'll
Yeah.
come in a second. This is connecting to the overallness of what we're doing in terms of finding the self-conception and some specifics of the terms and things that came up, the connectivity issues. You'll see how it comes in. So. Oh.
What other kind of life is there?
I'll
Leela explained, they take on life as an agent of the universe, or
Is
a
there a
spirit
party in
warrior,
there?
or its lover. And then the exquisite dance begins. The dance of power, the dance of joy, the dance of freedom. For it's a dance of control, a dance of responsibility, a dance of awareness and attention. In this dance we take up the task of managing the mood of the universe, of the world, and everything in it. It's a stupendous undertaking. It's an impossibility, and yet we try. We dance and dance like never before. We never relent in our dance of joy, in our dance of cheer, in our dance of positivity. It's our task to be good, to set the tone, to supply the mood. Our personal feelings become irrelevant. We have undertaken the most sublime challenge possible, the challenge of. Leela broke off.
See where I'm bringing this in?
Yes.
Talking about dancing. It's about dancing with life.
Okay, I'm a joy dancer.
Right.
Send
A
John
life
that story.
dancer.
Yeah, life
Life
dancer.
dancer. Right. So this is why I'm sharing the story now. Now you see the shift from a personal life. We're living a life that's beyond our personal life. We're going more. Right? That's why it's from a personal life. We say we're living more than just our own personal
Right,
life.
we're not limiting ourselves.
Exactly.
We're connecting to the
Exactly.
boundless, which is the more.
Right.
So
Right.
we're also connecting to the more of ourselves.
Right.
And
Right.
that's how we how to say it? We kind of like move
Right.
and boost
Right.
ourselves into that. We
Right.
launch ourselves into the more.
Exactly. And look, it says, what other kind of life is there other than a personal life? And she says, they take on the life as an agent of the universe, or a spirit warrior, or its lover, or whatever. And then the exquisite dance begins, the dance of power, the dance of joy, all the different dances. That's the shift we're making now. To say, hey, we're going to dance with life. And we're taking on also, as a personal thing, right? To say I'm going to now change the mood of the world, that's not something I can do in my personal thing. But as in this conception, which is what you've done, you've taken on that responsibility of changing the mood of the world.
Well, at least changing the mood of people who resonate with
Right.
him and his
But it's more than that,
Energy.
because they resonate. They're gonna have other people that they.
Yes.
that
Exactly.
affect.
there'll be a trickle
Ripple.
effect. A ripple,
Right, exactly.
ripple effect.
In
Yeah.
this dance, we take up the task of managing the mood of the universe, of the world, and everything in it. It's a stupendous undertaking. It's an impossibility, and yet we try. We know might not be able to individually, but we try anyway because, like you said, there's ripple. So we do our thing.
Through the exemplification of ourselves
Right.
as the dancer, the warrior.
Right.
All of these.
Now,
yeah.
Now this is a story, and obviously that it's not precisely applicable because it's a story, and that's why we're going to make those connections to us. But when we think of this in the task of what we're doing in terms of mood management of the world, that's what we're trying to do, we're managing the mood of the world. We know it's a stupendous undertaking, and we also know it's an impossibility. We try anyway. What are we doing with the people, that we connect to? Aren't we helping them change their mood about themselves? It's no use they just think of themselves. Self-appreciation is feeling better about yourself. That's the nature. If I feel good about myself, if you feel good about yourself, whoever you are and your effort, reward, choice, that's brilliant. If everybody gets to that, change the whole world just like that. By getting everybody to have that mood of feeling okay and good about themselves. Very simple, very profound. But
And
that's
it's an engagement.
nourishment of spirit, exactly. But we're taking it further.
Like that
Really?
term, nourishment of spirit.
Right. Spirit nourisher.
Because that's what you do, Miles.
Yeah, you're a spirit nourisher.
I mean, every day
Right.
you sending, you broadcasting. That's what you're
Yeah.
doing.
Yeah.
Like the story of the tree, the sapling, you're nurturing and
nourishing, yeah.
nourishing.
Right. There's a little more.
And
to
in
this. It's
doing
a
so,
cool
you're
little
also
story.
nurturing and nourishing yourself. So it's like this two-pronged thing. You're sending it, but you're also
Right.
doing it for yourself,
Right.
which is pretty awesome.
Right. So the story is in the mood management module, but it's kind of a little bonus extra. Now we're using it, yes, it's part of mood management, but we're using it for conception management also. Always more to any of these.
The challenge of, don't stop there. Viella had a faraway look, a look of grace, a look of connection. It's the challenge of a lifetime. It's the challenge to always be our best, to always be the most appropriate we can be, in any and all contexts. And what is appropriate? What can we be sure of as always being appropriate? Goodness, of course. But doing what's good is difficult to know. However, feeling good, we know, contributes to the goodness of the world, the goodness of everything. If we are contributing to the feeling of goodness wherever we are adding to the goodness of the world. What a challenge. Viella breathed. She shivered, feeling the complexity of her thoughts.
See, your focus on your joy, right? When we take that and we say, hey, you know what, it's not just me being joyful in my little bubble. I'm going to extend that joy and share it. with everybody.
Absolutely.
Now I am doing good simply by feeling good. How awesome is that? Because doing good, like we were talking earlier about the challenges of charity, it's very difficult to know what's good for others. It's kind of a presumption, right? But when we just feel good, we know that's a doing good. That doesn't encounter any presumption. Because me sharing feeling good is just how do you figure that to be bad in any context. So I can just feel good and add to the goodness of the world. So feeling good is a doing good. Huge. So being a joy being, I am doing good.
Joy being.
Joy being, yeah.
Being a
We affect the world
shining
around
light.
us with how we feel.
Right.
Every feeling and mood we put out
Ah.
affects
Oh,
those
yeah.
around us.
Mr.
Their feeling, the challenge. We affect the world around us with how we feel. Every feeling and mood we put out affects those around us. Their feelings and moods in turn affect others. Every single one of us can thus be the butterfly sneeze that causes the typhoon of positivity and goodness, simply by being good, by feeling good. This is the only doing that's needed. The only doing good we can do and be sure it's good. Anything else is a presumption. The new nobility take this responsibility seriously. But, the questioner faltered. Yes, there are many, many buts. It's no simple task to take on this responsibility of mood management. It involves being impeccable. Viella left off there as if explaining all was too much for her. She drifted into a memory immersion, allowing it to take full hold. I remember a time, Viella said, it seems so long ago now, when Illuminia and I first encountered the concept of mood management, of being an agent of the universe or similar. Illuminia had been on a trip with someone, and, let's just say, mood management was a challenge. We chatted via the comm. Viella went back into the immersion, seeing it from the outside.
Illuminia.
Viella had said,
Illumina.
and the resolute angel, insisting ever so slightly, scrupulous. Illumina replied, felt a bit sad about no longer having a personal. However, excited about being an agent of the universe. Biella, it's there, the personal. It just has a different scope for expression. But it becomes much more special when the opportunities present. Illumina, I guess a princess of the universe is an agent. Biella laughed, it makes it all worthwhile. As does being an agent of the universe. It's a most special charge. One requiring the full use of all our skills and all our integrity. And constant attention, of course. But above all, being an agent of the universe requires ethics. And yes, a princess is a special agent. Biella added, it's always the moods of others which are paramount. An agent has to be a paragon. It's really fun being an agent, as always. Always, an agent is engaged in the distribution of good. Illumina, I wanted to say in terms of mood management, watching the beginnings especially closely is critical. One has to nip in the bud at all costs any start of a mood which threatens internally. It's only then, in those early stages, where we really have any control. Biella, absolutely. And in terms of your specific interaction, if one sets the mood of positivity, trust, togetherness, closeness, solidarity, communion and of being a unit, any other options become impossible. That's the key of your tool, to broadcast and radiate the moods and attitudes we want. That broadcast prevents any other options. Just trust and see. Extrapolate positively.
Just making the connection between this and the post that I shared with you guys.
Ah, right, exactly. That's why this kind of encapsulates a lot. That's why I wanted to share it now. There's a little end part that comes on here that I'm wanting to go to. So it touches on stuff that we'll get into more in detail, but you're right, it all connects, and that's key. That this self-conception is precisely about that connectivity. Putting all of the parts, we want that self-conception that connects to the allness of us, right? Not just a specific aspect. That brings every aspect of it into being. And above all, we want to have that connectivity with our deep ethics, with our nobility, and also with our deep self-honesty. So we want, and the fullness, not just the specific aspects, on the completeness of it.
Illumina, definitely, I feel good. Anticipating. Biella, you are good. Always. Never forget that. You are connecting to your power. The power of making the world good and better by you being good and happy through your mood management. Yes. Biella, I have been thinking much about this, the finer points of it. I see it as essential, also from the new nobility perspective, that mood management is never seen as something which is forced or foisted, or in any other way put upon people. It comes about more from not being able to do the opposite. Since moods, attitudes and perspectives, thus our very beings, are contagious, we have the ethical responsibility to not infect the world with negativity. It's about not being negative. Positivity is our only option. So we are not going around trying to sell positivity. It is just the way we are to be. Because also, it is not negativity.
Right, so we come into positivity because we can't be negative. That's
And
not,
spread
it's the opposite.
negativity,
Right.
the debris of our
Exactly.
emotions,
That's just a big thing.
the fallout of
Understanding this prevents us from presuming
Sorry,
what is good
yeah.
for
To this one?
Biella, I have been thinking much about this, the finer points of it. I see it as essential, also from the new nobility perspective, that mood management is never seen as something which is forced or foisted, or in any other way put upon people. It comes about more from not being able to do the opposite. Since moods, attitudes and perspectives, thus our very beings, are contagious, we have the ethical responsibility to not infect the world with negativity. It's about not being negative. Positivity is our only option. So we are not going around trying to sell positivity. It is just the way we are to be. Because also, it is not negativity.
Ethical justification. How do I justify how I am?
Why do you have to?
Because I'm ethical. It's important.
Are you justifying it to yourself?
Right. So if I go around and I'm saying being cheerful, for instance, I know that could irritate people and so it's hard to
and their
people.
energy's
Right.
low.
But so how I can be, I want to have a way that I can feel ethically good about it. I cannot ethically justify being negative. So therefore I'm forced to not be negative, which means by application, for example, positive. Yes, I suppose I could be neutral, I can be sober, but sobriety still has an implied positivity. It's that gives me that full confidence and satisfaction of being and resolution of being to say, hey, I'm ethically complete, I can fully justify that. I feel good about that as an ethical person. Right? Does that make sense?
How do you justify people who, like a lot of therapists out there are saying, yes, you need to feel your feelings, process them, move through them.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah, this is that's a great question. Can we put that on hold and then finish the story real quick? Because there's a story's coming to like a little nice end point to it, and it's about feeling our power. So I do want to get to that, but that's a really awesome. I love that. I want to really get into that. That's perfect.
Understanding this prevents us from presuming what is good for others. All we can do when we take this all into account is be what is good. We know this will affect the world around us positively, and that's great, but it's never a forced perspective. Part of our positivity is freedom, and positivity laced with freedom of choice is certainly much easier to deal with than negativity in any form. The one adds energy with which to make choices, the other subtracts energy. It's a profound responsibility, and like everything, has to be applied with awareness. If not, we can easily spread types of positivity when that is not desirable, such as condoning or enabling. So it forces us to be continuously deliberately aware, which is a go in terms of freedom.
Somewhat your answer right there already, that condoning or
Give me 1 second to read that up over again.
Is it loading?
no, Miles is just reading it.
Yes, so I mean, we want to deliberately use our energy wisely, but it can be wise to actually feel, as long as you're not spreading that or affecting other people.
Exactly.
We have a gamut of emotions.
Exactly. It's the ethics that are the issue. That's the real deep issue. It's about the ethicalness of doing it. So those therapists that say to the clients, yeah, you gotta feel real, just express your feeling, don't suppress it and all that. Yes, fine, do that, but do it on your own. If you're gonna be causing other
Privately.
people, how do you justify hurting others and making life miserable around you? You know, that's not good.
What if your intent is to share and say, hey, like I'm being courageous and sharing this with you because
That would be different, right? It all depends on how you're sharing it and in what way. Now, isn't that a positive action?
Yeah, because it's
But
not
it's also-
infecting.
Right.
It's-
Right. But you're not actually putting
so
out.
there's not negativity anymore.
Right. You've removed the negativity and say, yes, when you share, like for instance, an incident where you had anger, right? You're not actually expressing the anger in that moment. You're sharing honestly about the anger, which is a positive exemplification, illustration, it's a lesson, it's an awareness or whatever. But so it's still inherently positive, the mood, the feeling, the vibe, everything. This is an activity of learning and growth, right? It's a positive activity, right? So we can share negative things with a positive reason and a positive result, right? It's not negative in its feel, in its mood. What they are doing is essentially are advocating and condoning and being complicit in indulgence. They're just giving people a license to indulge, and that's what people are going to pay them for. They're giving them a license to indulge. They pay big money to get a license to indulge.
Well, sharing our hard situation can also be alchemical in
Right.
the sense that as you're sharing a difficult experience, the very sharing, the act of sharing changes the experience right in real time too.
But sharing automatically, you're already a step removed from being it. Right. So would they say just be
Exactly.
angry when you want to be angry? In other words, indulge in it and just let it go and feel okay about it. You're just being natural. You're just being okay. No, you're just saying okay. It's okay to be crappy. No, it's not okay to be crappy. Sorry, it's not. You might not want to be crappy. And you might have an effort to not say, hey, I'm going to change to be crappy. But you can't say, oh, it's just natural to be crappy and this is who I am and accept it as a fact. No, you can't accept that. You have to be honest, because it ain't right.
It's hard to generalize about therapists because there's so many modalities.
Yes,
I agree.
exactly.
I shouldn't
The
do
whole
that. I agree.
somatic
But But I'm saying in
Modality.
there are that case of, he's talking about those therapists specifically.
understand.
So yeah. No, I agree. I know. I shouldn't generalize.
It wasn't therapists, just people.
Yeah.
They say.
So this gets into, should you tell a little white lie to somebody to protect their feelings,
Depends.
right?
It's appropriate.
And, you know,
Specific
when somebody-
appropriateness. Right.
When your girlfriend says, hey, do these pants make my butt look big or whatever? Oh no, honey, that looks so good on you.
And that's where capital D diplomacy comes into. We balance honesty and appropriateness, and we find a way to say things honestly, which also have the desired effect that we're after. So it's a skill. It's a very big
Because you could
skill.
say, hey, that looks good, but I've seen other things that look even better.
Right.
So you're not
Right.
saying that looks bad.
Right. Well, let's say it
However,
really
they
does
kind of-
make the butt look fat. You say, well, what do you think really? Is it potentially so? You know, you can ease into it. There's a lot of strategies to ways. So, you know.
Or I can
Well,
say,
if you say making another suggestion, then it's obvious that you're not all that blown away by
Exactly.
it.
You can
or I
come
can
and
say,
say,
I'm not getting into this.
right.
Or you can say,
I can't
Well,
win.
but now, yes, that.
So if you're
It's not
asking,
gonna
that
fly.
means you have doubt, right? If you're asking, that means you have doubt. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter my opinion, it's how you feel about it. So find something that you're not going to ask the question about that you don't have doubt
I
about.
like
Wow.
that. How do you feel? How do you feel in those clothes?
Right.
Yes,
a
that's
great
more
response.
important.
I like that.
I like that.
How do you feel?
Furthermore, it's like the restaurant question where people would come into the restaurant, right?
Oh, man.
And they'd say, oh, is the food good here? What are we supposed to say? No, our food is not
But
good.
the magic of that is we
But-
used to run lines out the door. 20 people, and they, excuse me, there's a narrow little entrance. Excuse me, they've edged their way through 20 people standing in line, and they come, is the food good here?
No, the food's not good.
Well,
It's
one day
dreadful,
I just
actually.
had enough, and I said, no, I'm the owner, and I should know the food's not good here. What do you mean the food's not good? I said, no, I'm the owner, I should know. I said, no, the food's not good here. But this, the place is good.
The place is full.
I ended up
There's
in
a
this long big,
queue
and I
running
knew what
out
was
the door.
happening, right? And I ended up in this whole big long discussion with this person where they now arguing that the food must be good. They forgot that they'd asked the question, and everybody's listening at the end of this, and they're like, oh, okay,
So,
right. But there's
but
a
the
deeper
point
point to it,
is,
right?
yes.
Right. So you know, we were talking about people being cued from externally. Some people just are not in a space where they can come to a conclusion and make up their minds for themselves. They want to have that reassurance that the idea, the conclusion they've come to is valid. So that's what they can. We're just asking for reassurance.
So your
It's
answer,
astonishing, you know.
Yeah.
That's smart. So I changed after that. Stop being very
I mean, your answer could be, would give them, it's not what you say, it's how you say it.
Exactly.
That will, she'll be like, okay, I think I'm going to go and wear something else.
I mean,
It's
mostly that
interesting,
response from the person being asked the question is usually typically like kind of irritation or annoyance for being put in a spot. It's like you're asking me to say something. So, but when you kind of rather shift it to being like profoundly uncomfortable, you're going to see that now. Now you shift the onus back. So there's a lot to diplomacy, but yeah, we'll get there.
Where I could say, do you really want my opinion?
Right. Or do you just, the nice one that I always say is, do you want an honest or a polite answer?
Oh, okay.
That always satisfies. I mean, you ask them honestly, would you like an honest answer or a polite answer?
Well, that clearly
Okay,
says
the
you
polite
don't like
answer
it.
is- Right, well, the polite answer is, well, okay, you know, sure, you know. But, okay. Let's hear the last of this a little bit.
you can just say, yeah, your butt looks big.
Fantastic.
But I like big butts, so what do you worry about?
Exactly.
Mood management is a fantastic mechanism thus for leveraging our awareness, for keeping
Leveraging.
it constantly in
Yeah.
play, for leveraging us to be constantly paying attention. We know how easy it is to become immersed in anything, and mood management leverages our goodness. It gives purpose to every single second of being. To live knowing we are continuously doing good and adding to the goodness of the world simply by being our goodness is awesome indeed. It's truly a way to live. Mood is energy dependent. I don't necessarily see it as an ethical obligation to be happy, but, since moods, attitudes and perceptions are infections, it's our ethical duty to be not negative. And there's more.
De-emphasize
You
it.
see where the and there's always more comes from?
Mhm.
So she says this, and in the original story she's talking to a group of aspirants, and then whenever she says this, they start this thing saying, there's always more. And then it becomes a chorus. And then every time she says there's more, then, there's always more. And they kind of tease her with, like you say, with a profound thing.
Yeah.
It's the same way that always more came in about in the
Oh,
same
wow.
way.
How
That-
fitting.
yeah, exactly. So that's our concept. Because she's saying, and she doesn't want the point to stop there, to have the continuity flow broken, and there's more. She's tying it all together.
It's like an
There's a
infomercial.
mood
But wait,
which
there's
is
more.
not happy, but
Exactly.
neither is it miserable or unhappy. It's the mood of positivity, resolute positivity. It's a mood of sobriety. Sobriety is at root always positive, and it's a low energy requirement mood, therefore an excellent option when all else is not lining up. It's simply a commitment to positivity with all the realism attached. It's not optimism necessarily, but simply an insistence on the trust that things will work out, despite not seeing how.
That's very
It's thus a choice of sensibility. A choice we make when we either don't want to, or don't have the energy to consider options. It's a retreat option as well as a go-to option. This resolute positivity can be combined with happiness, joy and enthusiasm, or not. It's a most excellent mood I have found.
This mood she's talking about is a mood that you have on a fairly regular basis. Kind of an energy conservationist mood. You're not pushing out a habit, optimism or a positivity or a joy. You're kind of solid and contained within yourself. There's nothing high or low. It's a contained mood. But exactly everything that you said is a mood that I see in you on a regular. You were just in it like 2 seconds ago. But you see, to understand that mood, you see it in him, right? It's a very contained mood, it's a very neutral mood, but it's really, like she's saying, it's a resolute positivity. But you're not pushing out the energy, it's a contained, it's an energy management mood. But it's a really nice, really deep mood, it's really cool, right?
Hold on, before you go on.
Oh, sure.
It's not optimism necessarily, but simply an insistence on the trust that things will work out, despite not seeing how. It's thus a choice of sensibility, a choice we make when we either don't want to or don't have the energy
To
to
consider.
consider, or don't know what the options are.
Right.
And so I'm thinking of a situation I was in where I was in a situation that I didn't know how things would work out. And it was a compilation of lots of life pressures that were seriously affecting me. As an example, I was living with my infirm mother in my house, an active alcoholic. I had prostate surgery, just had prostate surgery. I lost my job. I
Wow.
was paying
What is
alimony.
it?
All these happened within a short
Yeah.
period of time.
Wow.
And I didn't know how things would work out. I didn't know how. I had no money coming in.
Wow.
I was over 55. I don't know if I'd ever get a job again.
Wow.
But I still had this feeling of optimism, but I didn't understand where it was coming from. But I trusted things somehow would work out.
Right.
I don't know where it came from.
Right. That's that resolute positivity. You never gave up. That's why it's a resolute. Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of stuff. But again, you didn't have that false cheer and optimism. It was a resolute. It was a contained positivity. And I'm just saying, she's just mentioning this particular mood, pointing it out that it's a powerful mood because we're talking not only mood management but also energy management. So when we understand that and know that, hey, sometimes we just have to have that trust, that resolute positivity, which positivity is the trust that things will work out. That's what positivity is, isn't it?
Yeah. But
Very deep.
somehow
Right.
I had that innately.
Right, and I'm pointing it to Myles because you also have it eventually. I don't think you're necessarily aware that it's specifically there that you have this deep confidence in the fact that things will work out, even though you have no clue how necessarily.
Right. Trust
We
me.
live like that. It's our lives. Right. And being aware of it. But again, we don't have to have a particular mood. We can kind of just be in ourselves and be chill and okay, and it's all good. And to understand that that is a profoundly excellent mood management, energy management mood. That's what I'm saying. Energy management. You have that. Conserve your mood. Just there in the spot. Good spot to be. Right, there's a little more here. I want to get to the last part that I made.
Vienna suddenly asked, are
Yeah.
you feeling the power? What do you mean?
So is this from the book? The other,
This is in one of the books. It's not in the current book that we have. It will be in one of the later books. It's an excerpt. But so yeah, I've got lots of material that we haven't put in the books just yet. But yeah,
It
it will
comes
be. It will
from just moments and
Right,
interactions
right.
like
So this actually comes from a conversation. This is a conversation that I've enfolded into the story. I mean, this is the actual conversation. That's something that was said, and that's somebody else.
Are you?
Are you feeling the power? I'll just play
Yeah.
that.
It's a neat
Vienna suddenly asked, "Are you feeling the power? What do you mean?" When we take upon ourselves the task and responsibility of mood management, we empower ourselves. We are suddenly in charge of our lives and of how we feel. Not only that, but we are also in charge of adding to the goodness of the world. When we engage in mood management, we have decided that the infection of negativity stops with us. We have taken on the task of refusing to pass on the infection of negativity. We will no longer be part of the negativity infection cycle. We will no longer contribute to adding to the infection of negativity. This is empowering, knowing our every action, our every effort of mood management is contributing to the good of the world. We don't have to go around spreading cheer or always being happy. All we have to do is refuse to be negative. This is a powerful self-knowledge and empowering. It's a joy to know we are doing good every second of our engagement in mood management.
I'm making this connectivity between the two of you. We have that joy. Now we can say, hey, how profound is this? I can take joy in knowing that just me being me does good to them.
Yes.
How freaking awesome is that?
That is awesome.
It's just beyond awesome. It's just
That
like,
is
man, it's just wow. That's why I said,
We're not
are you feeling
adding
the
to
power?
the problem.
That's why she says that. Are you feeling the power? It's to know that, then you can feel the power. Right? When you know that just you being you is enough.
Yep.
That's it. That's
How
enough.
empowering
Right,
is that?
It's hugely empowering.
Yeah.
Then you start to
feeling
feel
the
the power.
power.
Exactly. It's making that connectivity.
Because
So
it's
just
too,
bringing it into
I
awareness.
find the magic of that,
Right.
how it's not just
Right.
one way, it's always,
Right. That was the new member in the Charlotte, the new member in the group. That was the conversation. She reached out to me. I had a little chat, and all I did was she was having all sorts of problems, and I simply pointed. I just said, "Are you a good person?" I made her aware of the fact that she's a good person. I said, "That's enough."
And then perhaps that would lead to self-appreciation.
Exactly. That was all I did. I simply proved to her that she was a good person. The fact that she was worrying about all this, why are you worrying? Well, because I don't want it to be bad, I don't want it to be bad. What does it mean that that's a good person? Oh, it's just the awareness. Now she's in a different place because she's really acutely aware that she's a good person.
This is almost like, if I were to
Very
put a
so.
label on it, cognitive behavioral therapy.
I guess so.
Because you're talking it through, here's the logic of it, wouldn't you agree with this, it's sensible.
That's what someone told me that I was doing.
You know, I really make an effort to stay out of that whole thing.
Same.
Because I found that whole
Stigma.
right, not just stigma, but it has a mumbo jumbo-ness to it that most people can't resonate to.
Well,
They
it
want
has
stuff
a
that's
language
more
of
simple
its
and
own.
real.
Yeah,
to it.
it's not
So,
relatable.
right, and also just the implication that when you're dealing in terms of therapy or counseling, it is shifting and changing. But for general part, the perspective is that I go there because I have a problem, and then I deal and discuss with my problems, and then we immerse in the problem, and okay, that's the whole world now. That's the issue that I don't care for, and the association, because it's that the way the brain works. You're emphasizing the problem, your world becomes the problem, and that's all you're focused on. Shift it. Say, hey, you might solve all those problems. You're going to eliminate the negative, you just left with zero. What the hell do you do then? Why do people go back to the problems? Because they cannot live with zero. They can't live with nothing. They'd rather have the thing that they know than be nothing. So they go back to the problems again. So we need replacement. And I was a kid at school, positive psychology. That was my big thing. You know, on the podcast, by the way, I have a post called Positive Psychology. It has like, I don't know, 1,000 times. It doesn't have a large thing, but in the ratio, like it's I don't know, 20, 34 times more connectivity to it. Just astounding. That whole, just the concept of positive psychology. So all of this, it's about the replacement. It's adding that positive to be. Because if you don't have something to be that's positive, you're just going to go back to your old way of being. Because we cannot be a nothing. We cannot live in a void. So I don't know what to do. Oh, I'll go back to what I know.
What you think creates your reality.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
to know that you are enough.
Exactly.
That's two things right there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That
Because
self-description.
you are enough because
Yeah.
you are good. And feeling good is the issue of being enough. It's not just enough to, you gotta feel good about yourself, not just enough to be good, you have to feel good, you have to pass it on. Because, you might say, well, I'm good, but I'm always negative at the same token. Well, no, that's not good either. You gotta feel good about yourself, right?
What happens when, at the point when I was in my depression, I didn't think I was a good person.
Exactly.
So how would you
Exactly.
shift that perspective?
What we did at the very beginning, that's list of questions. Do you deliberately want anything to be bad? No. Do you like goodness? Yes. Do you want things to be bad? No. You can't deliberately be bad. You want goodness. Now, you may think you're bad, but when you really, it's just a false idea. It's a square circle conception.
You get stuck in this thinking and you can't get out of it.
Exactly. You get immersed in the bubble. So really all you need to do is just be aware of that. That's all. Just make people aware that, hey, you're not in that bubble.
And falling into bubbles and getting oneself out of a
Right.
bubble. Look, when our energy is low, we're more susceptible to
That's what we
getting
do.
into a bubble.
We bring that external perspective. The
Get out of
bubbles
the
are
bubble.
fragile, we pop the bubble.
Pop it.
It's very simple. It takes a little pinprick. The tiniest of things can change a life.
Pop with the pimple.
Somebody, somewhere I read, I think it was attributed to Einstein, that the same thinking that got you into this trouble is not going to get you out of it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So by the way,
we have to shift
you're
perspective.
talking about this false positivity. There was an HR director in a company I worked at. Hey, how you doing today? What a great day today!
Rah, rah, rah.
And everybody hated him.
Correct.
Or her. Right.
I was wondering, what the hell is she on?
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Oh my God! It was so.
And she may actually have been on something too.
But the inconsideration of it,
Right.
really.
Oh my God.
When you're in a low energy mood, that is something that is
Sure.
absolutely just horrible when you have that, when you're in a down state. It's a pressure on you, it's
Yeah.
bothersome, it's troubling.
Oh yeah. No, but it just
Very
looks so
considerate.
insincere to me.
Oh, of course.
I don't know how it goes around like that.
Right. She thinks that her
It's the
job is to be a
inconsideration
motivation
that's
and a hype
bothersome.
management and a
Right, right,
cheerleader.
Like, so speaking of hype and motivation, there are these posters in corporate America about little saying, nice picture of something and a saying that motivates you. And then there are this website called despair.com, which riffs on that, and it's nice pictures, and they have these expressions that totally make fun. It is so creative and so hilarious. And I had this thought, I'm gonna get a couple and replace them and see if anybody actually notices. Because you walk by these things.
Yeah.
And did you?
No.
Oh, wow, that would have been nice. That would have been nice.
It would've
It's
been-
like that guy who...
Right. We might as well just finish this real quick, and then I want to go into that what you were saying, and just the square circle logic.
And John,
Are you feeling the power? Ian asked again. Your power, the power of being in charge of yourself, the power of determining mood, the power of maintaining it, the power of making things right, of making things good, the power of not letting things slip into negativity, the power of being impeccable with your moods, with your energy, and with your positivity. Do you feel how you are making a difference? Do you feel the ethics of it?
Yeah.
The goodness of being good?
That's exactly
Doing
where
good
I
all
was
the
going.
time?
Right. You see where I'm heading with this? What I was saying. It's to feel the power and know that, hey, just you doing what you're doing, it's making a difference. It's making a difference. It's really a big
Miles.
The
deal.
other side of deep
Yeah.
side, the most profound life.
Can you pause for a
Love for
second?
the world, love for her
What
friends.
feeling do you get when you
Are you feeling the power?
feel the
Yeah,
power that you're making a difference? How does that make you feel?
Impactful. Meaningful.
Significant? What was the other word? Meaningful?
Purposeful.
Purpose?